I mean, and to be clear, this is a complex question, and I really do think it has to be chewed on in layers. But here's what I will say: the next question that brings up to me is energy private, or is energy a layer of existence that we have just been taught not to see? And you walk into a room and something feels off, were you prying, or did we feel something that no one else in the room is willing to acknowledge, that we've been trained to not perceive? Now, here's what's cool. The part of our brain, right? If I sit in a session with you and I can feel something and maybe I get some textures and images. Now, if I let my brain take control and I start trying to make up stories about what I think is happening in their life, that is probably where I start to dip into prying and projecting. Oh my gosh, I wonder if they're going through a divorce, blah, blah, blah. I'm making up a story about a feeling of grief, right? What is perceivable is the grief.
Yeah.
And my work is just I was writing about this last week. I'm agreeing to be a witness to what no one else has been willing to see and feel and look at. I'm just the witness because no one else would look at this. I will look at it. It's raw grief. Where, why, how, none of my business. But I will bear witness to the feeling. I will bear witness to the texture and sensation. It gets tricky because this is the place where we do have to check our own projections a lot. But like in mystic business, it's a mirror. So you're in front of me because there's a specific relationship, right, to what I'm going to see. It will be different. It can't not be different. Practitioners will see different things on you because you're drawn into a resonant relationship, right? And once we know that, we can actually work with that in building business. And I'll put a pocket because I know some of us we can work with that, right? And we can come to know, like, why did my books clear this week, right? Which happens to me sometimes. Books clear because the energy goes, got to get your shit right, right? There's like, you know what I mean? There's work for you to do because there's someone that needs something you've got, but you got to get this cleaned up, right? Or you got to get this worked out so that now that vibration can be there for the person that needs my vibration, my attunement to something that they're working through in themselves. This was the thing that I wanted to land. If we have concerns about consent, it's a great place to actually work the difference between perceiving and projecting. And the difference between perceiving and projecting is the difference between I've been calling them imprints lately, just letting imprints of the energy come to us versus getting in there and trying to figure out the story. And you can even feel the difference between that. If I'm trying to figure it out, my energy is going forward and in. That naturally has a bit of an invasive quality to it, right? If I'm here to receive, be the observer, then I'm actually leaning back. And that means I will only be able to receive what someone's field is really openly and freely projecting, right? It's part of why I'll have, yes, the witness, not the detective, you know? So if you know you have concern about ethics, be like, perfect. That's a great way to help me practice being the witness and not the detective, right? Me trying to go in and figure out your story would actually be a little invasive. So I'm going to practice coming back here. What imprints do you want me to see? What imprints are you wanting observed? You know, I used to feel this a lot in the first few years of my practice. I just had a lot of extreme trauma. I understand a little bit more now why. At the time, I was like, why am I getting like people that were in Tower One on 9/11 and like crazy people that were prison guards in Guantanamo Bay. I don't know why or how, but I had crazy trauma cases show up in front of me the first few years. And it amazed me how much I would receive for like sometimes months without ever having a story and not needing a story, and really the energy honoring their privacy while also allowing me to be of service. So I could be of service. I could witness things in the field. I could steward movement, and I could have no information about the story, you know? And it would take them months, sometimes years, before I would be told the story. But then I'd be like, oh shit, okay. That makes sense of what I've been feeling, but it doesn't mean I wasn't of service. I was of service at the level that honored their privacy.